For our dome light modification on the driver's side of the car, I'm going to pull the weather stripping down and the A-pillar trim piece. Behind that is a wiring harness, and what we're looking for is the blue wire with a white trace, which is 12 volt, and this red wire with a yellow trace, which is the door trigger ground. Once you identify the wires, you'll have to run them down the front, along the dash, and underneath. I have the front driver's door, looking at illumination options. On the bottom here, there's a lip. You can put some LEDs pointing down to light the ground. Up by the speaker, put lights pointing down, or possibly put some pointing inside to illuminate the footwells. And then with your door switch illumination, possibly put one up here in the door handle, matching the color of the lights that you'll eventually add for the door switches and window. I've set up the door with the ground lights. I put one angling out, two angling down, two angling down, and then one kind of at an angle pointing towards the side interior of the car. And then I've run all the wires up where I'm going to make a junction, so if I have to take the door panel off, I can make a quick disconnect. The configuration I used required 3 LEDs in series and then some resistors. Depending upon your configuration, in this case the resistors do get quite warm here, so you want to make sure to take care when you design your circuit that if you do use resistors that you allow enough space so they don't melt the plastic or get too hot. Because of the LEDs I've chosen, I can get pretty good coverage with just a few. On the front driver door, I've drilled a 3/16 inch hole above the door handle and placed an LED. I tried to position the LED towards the back so that way it will shine down on the handle. In this case, I also used a very high ohm resistor to make the light dim so that at night it won't blind you, and during the day you'll probably hardly notice it's there. Terminated my ends. This is for the ground lighting. This is for the panel lighting, and I've added an extra ground wire there so I could branch off the turn signal wiring and run it up to the corner here so I can make a junction here so I don't have to remove the door skin if I decide to change something with the turn signal lighting. I've roughed in the ground lights right now so you can see how they're connected in the A-pillar. And I also have the ability right now to run them with the dash control here in addition to the door. I've wired up the switch panel. I've used 4 LEDs, attaching it to the top of the actual brown switch panel here. I have one at the rear, rear middle, front middle, and then the front, so that it kind of makes a halo effect around the switches when it's turned on. You have to make sure to keep the LEDs all the way in and the wiring tucked up so that it clears the edge here in the door. I have the lights ready to go. We'll see what happens. As you can see, you got a nice little light here for the door handle, so you can see that, and then the lock. Each one of the buttons has a halo effect around it, and when you push down on the window buttons, it gives a little extra burst of light, and you can see up here with the door lock. The only bad thing was where I positioned the light, I see I got a little bit of a ghosting up here where it kind of comes up onto the door, but otherwise everything looks good. And now to test the finished result. And then when the door is shut, the angled LED will point towards the actual inside of the car and still has some illumination into the car, and we wait for the timer to cut out.